Succulents that we have here are succulents that Kobe and his grandfather had bought on the morning of the murder. And then just like a million other things. My big beautiful boy right here. This is one of the original flyers we had up that went up at Palmer's where we had his celebration of life. He was huge into Night Vale, and actually that community has been really incredible. His dad posted what happened to him and how much he loved Night Vale, and there's probably like 15,000 comments on that. Tools he bought John, his stepdad, so we keep them here. The last set of earbuds that we bought him that he never wore. This comes from Mike Freeman's house when they crepe papered his house to indicate the blood that's on his hands. Yeah. That's my kiddo. And then we got some of, oh, and this is one of the locks from when they did the locks. They did that 3, 4, or 5 times, kept on taking them down, so they kept on putting them back up. I was going to say at Kobe's funeral, of course I was crying, so my friend Laurel, who's very environmentally conscious, has hankies, and I ended up with 2 that day. So they also come here. Thanks. Stay here too. And you can't see this, but this is one of the original Kobe shirts. Mm-hmm. And John was wearing it when they, because we had a Viking funeral for Kobe, and so he was helping carry the ship to the water, and so there's like rust on it from there, and he cut himself a little bit, so there's a little bit of blood and stuff like that, but we keep that there. And then somebody also told me something about pennies from heaven, so now every time I find pennies, I pick them up, put them there, because, you know, why not? That's what I got on my kiddo. I'm Amity Dimock. I'm the mother of Kobe Heisler, his legal name Kobe Dimock Heisler. And Kobe was a beautiful 21-year-old boy who was on the autism spectrum and having a bad day that day. And 911, Brooklyn Center Police, Brandon Akers and Cody Turner ended up coming and murdering my son in his own home on what was essentially a wellness check. My son and his grandfather had gone to buy a bunch of succulents. My son was really on a succulent kick. And then they went to Wendy's, and apparently Wendy's messed up his order. My son got upset, which caused him and the grandfather to get into a fight. Kobe came back frustrated and was yelling at the grandfather to apologize, and apparently he had grabbed a hammer and a knife, but essentially was what children can do sometimes, or like one of the most effective things a child can do is to hurt themselves in front of the people who love them the most. My daughter has done that to us. Kobe would do that, and so that was kind of his threat was, if you mess with me, I'm going to hurt myself and make you watch it. You know, they'll of course say that my son was brandishing and threatening the grandfather with the weapons, but I don't believe that, and it's not what the grandfather says. They say he like ran to hide in his office. No, that's Irv's office, and if he used the telephone, that was the telephone he used. He was going to call 911 because he was concerned about my son, not because he was concerned about himself. And in fact, then my son calmed down right away, and just never mind, don't come. Well, they chose to come anyhow, pretty much in force, and Grandpa saw them coming up, so he went to the front door and was like, everything's fine, everyone's fine. And they said, since it was a domestic with weapons mentioned, that they had to go in and check to make sure everybody was all right. They set him in a chair like this in the middle of the living room, which is not a very big space, and proceeded to interrogate him for, I believe it was up to 12 minutes, which, by the way, is pretty impressive for a person on the autism spectrum who doesn't deal well in situations like this in the first place. To sit there for 12 minutes, to be completely calm and, you know, respond to all of their questions. At one point just puts his hands up to his face and just starts crying. And this is, you know, where our stories differ. They're trying to claim that he, like, went and grabbed a knife. Well, the stories are numerous. And as far as I'm concerned, he was simply trying to exit the premises. And if a cop comes to my house and he doesn't have anything on me, and I decide last minute that I don't want to talk to him anymore and I want to leave my house, I expect him to let me leave my house and not tackle me, tase me, and then shoot me multiple times in a small space with a grandmother sitting there, an innocent bystander. And so that's what happened. You know, he got up, he made a quick motion, and it seems like all at once, tasers and gunshots.
Warning! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Where's he got? Knife? God damn it!
Where's he shot fired?
Drop the knife!
3, 2, 1, we got shots fired!
Drop the knife!